Yeah, you get a lot of this in the beta. You sure do. Get a whole party full of monks. 'Cause that's all anybody wants to play. And the hailers can't help. Monk hailers are shit. They're shit. Hello everybody. Vatolicious here. On my death knight. Tanking the only dungeon that they seem to allow you to do in the beta with the giant warlock pet. Hooray! This is my little shitty alt blood death knight. We're gonna go over some of the changes, the talents here. I haven't noticed a lot of changes. Now, we'll mention that I didn't really play this character all that much. Very honestly. I just sort of leveled him up for PvP, and that was really all that I did. I didn't play Blood all that often. Mostly played Frost, but even then it was just PvP, and I didn't really min-max him too much. But I don't really see a lot of big changes. Nothing really stands out that was taken out in any case. So they effectively play exactly the same. I was able to go into a dungeon and really just play the same way that I played any old time. So that being said, let's just go over the new talents that you get to pick. Level 56, as you know, you are a Death Knight, you start at 55. The first one is Roiling Blood. I'm sure that was supposed to say Boiling Blood. But it says your Blood Boil ability now also triggers Pestilence if it strikes a diseased target. Very cool, I like that. Vile Spew causes an undead minion to erupt in a shower of bile, dealing 572 shadow damage to all enemies within 10 yards of the minion, and infecting them with blood, plague, and frost fever. That's pretty cool. I like that. Unholy Blight, though, is the one that I had to pick. Surrounds the Death Knight with a vile swarm of unholy insects for 10 seconds, stinging all enemies within 10 yards every 1 second, infecting them with blood, plague, and frost fever. Now, before we go any farther, I would like to demonstrate this ability. I've come out to where all these vultures are. And they're just, hanging out, having a good time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm Koenig. I'm a big angry bitch. So we're going to go ahead and Unholy Blight. And just run around. All the insects are coming out. They're just stinging all these guys. They don't seem to really do a lot of damage. But, in fact, they don't do any damage. But it infects them with the plagues. And then they die. So that's a really fun way to sort of just, you turn that on, you run into a pack of enemies, and then you can blood boil. It's much more efficient than going, okay, I want to icy touch you, plague strike you, pestilence you, and then I can use my blood boil. I really like it. I think it's cool. I wish it lasted longer, but it was very cool. I was able to infect all those little vultures. I can get back up here. Next. 57, Lichborn. Same as it always was. Draw upon unholy energy to become undead for 10 seconds. While undead, you are immune to charm, fear, and sleep effects. Anti-magic zone. Places a large stationary anti-magic zone that reduces spell damage done to party or raid members inside by 75%. The anti-magic zone lasts 10 seconds or until it absorbed 24,500 damage. Much the same as it was. I don't know if those numbers have changed at all. I don't know, but now everybody gets to have that. And the one I chose, Icy Grip, reduces the cooldown of your death grip by 15 seconds and causes your death grip to reduce the movement speed of the target by 50% for 6 seconds. I don't really know about the movement speed reduction for PvE, but for PvP that's awesome. And the 15-second reduction on the cooldown for PvE is really cool since that's your second taunt. So I went with that one. I guess realistically either of these would work. Lichborn allows you to heal yourself. Anti-magic zone is good for you, good for other people. But this one just seems more functional for me. Level 58, Death's Advanced. Movement impairing effects may not reduce you below 75% of normal movement speed. That was the old unholy talent. Chillblains. Victims of your frost fever disease are chilled, reducing their movement speed by 50%. And your chains of ice immobilizes targets for 3 seconds. I went with this one because of this Unholy Blight that I get to use. Plus, you can spread Frost Fever other ways. I like this one. just in case somebody pulls aggro off of me while the mobs are infected. They're going to be going slower, so it'll give me more time to go, hey, no, and death grip them over. Asphyxiate lifts the enemy target off the ground and crushes their throat with dark energy, stunning them for 5 seconds. Functions as a silence if the target is immune to stuns. Replaces Strangulate, which I don't know how I feel about that necessarily, but this could be cool as a nice little basic CC, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to switch specs and switch back, because in beta that seems to reset all your skills. I have to see that animation. It's not the one I would pick for tanking, but I'm going to do that. Alright, so now we have Asphyxiate, and we're going to go asphyxiate a Heckle Fang Hyena. I'm so sorry. Oh, it just does that? That's the animation, I guess. It lifted him a little bit up into the air. But it says that it lifts him up into the air. Lifts the enemy target off the ground. Well, it doesn't say in the air. He was definitely off the ground. But, I don't know. I was expecting like a force choke and have him way up here. I'm disappointed. Alright, next talent. This is a good tree here. Death Pact. Drain vitality from an undead minion, healing the Death Knife for 50% of his maximum health, and causing the minion to suffer damage equal to 50% of its maximum health. So this is kind of like where you could sacrifice your minion before, but you don't actually have to kill them. It's 50% of their health, heals for 50% of your health. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that. Death Siphon. Deal 4,600 Shadow Frost damage to an enemy, healing the Death Knight for 75% of the damage dealt. That costs one death rune. It costs one death rune, and it's an instant. So I do like that. The one that I went with though is Conversion. Continuously converts runic power to health, draining 10 runic power per 1 second and restoring 3% of maximum health. This effect lasts until cancelled or runic power is exhausted. Demonstration time. So this new ability I have called Conversion is actually really cool. You can see it's up here. It's converting 10 runic power into 3% healing as I have it. Now, as long as if you use that when you've got a lot of runic power and you are not using runic power on things like Death Coil or Rune Strike, you can have that on you. I don't really see it as something you can have it on infinitely, but you can have it on for a good while. Like you can see, I'm building up my runic power right here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, assuming that she lets me. Come on, let me turn it on. Okay, I've turned it on. I'm healing. And it looks like it is going to use it faster than I can produce runic power. A little bit, or maybe not. No, because it's still on. So I'm getting 3% healing every second that I have enough runic power to do so, which is really cool. The whole group's gonna wipe anyway because nobody can do this boss, even on live, because they're a bunch of retards. It's gone now, but that was a lot of healing that I was able to do. 3% every second, including my death strikes and stuff. That's pretty cool. So I enjoy that. Right. 75. Blood Tap. Each damaging Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike generates a blood charge, up to a maximum of 6 charges. Blood Tap consumes 3 blood charges to activate a random fully depleted rune as a death rune. Runic Empowerment. When you land a damaging Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike, you have a 45% chance to activate a random fully depleted rune. The one I went with to correspond with this talent is Runic Corruption. When you land a damaging Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike, you have a 45% chance to activate Runic Corruption, increasing your runic regeneration rate by 100% for 3 seconds. Now, in retrospect, I don't know if that was the good talent to correspond with Conversion, considering you have to use Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike, which are things that will spend your runic power. But I guess if you had a lot, you had 100, and you spent a Rune Strike and you got it to proc, I don't know. Could be good. I think realistically one of these two would be better as a blood tank, because I didn't necessarily realize when I was picking this that it was only... I saw Death Coil and I just saw Death Strike in my head, and that would have been better. Anyway, whatever. It's whatever. Doesn't matter. 90. Gorfine's Grasp. Shadowy tendrils coil around all enemies within 20 yards of a target, hostile or friendly, dealing 2,250 50 shadow damage and pulling them to the target's location. That's pretty cool. You can target that to yourself and effectively death grip everything to your location. Remorseless Winter, surrounding the Death Knight with a swirling tempest of frigid air, dealing 1056 frost damage to enemies within 8 yards every 1 second for 8 seconds. Each time Remorseless Winter deals damage, it reduces enemy movement speed by 15%, stacking up to 5 times. Upon receiving the 5th application, an enemy will be stunned for 6 seconds. That's pretty sick. Desecrated Ground corrupts the ground in an 8-yard radius beneath the Death Knight, dealing 2,595 shadow damage every 10 seconds while standing in this corruption. The Death Knight is immune to effects that cause loss of control. So that's also very cool. However, I see that sort of being more of a PvP talent, and this being sort of the one that you want as a tank, because that's like an AoE death grip, and it pulls everything to you, and you can just drop a death and decay. Win, win, win. As well as leveling my paladin, like I said in an older video, to show you some of the last talents. I really want to do the Death Knight as well. If you can really even get to 90 all that easily, we'll have to find out. The Death Knight will be by far the easiest one to level, so I might be able to do that. Seeing how much time I put into this, I don't know. We'll have to see, but I would love to be able to show you these talents. They may also be out on MMO Champion soon. We'll see. But anyway, subscribe if you like this video. I'm going to be doing all the classes, save for maybe Shaman and Druid, I don't know. But, thank you for watching. I'm Vatolicious. And in conclusion, alright, thank you for watching this video. My name is Vatolicious. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be doing every class, save for maybe Shaman and Druid, since I know absolutely nothing about them. And maybe I'll find somebody who knows. Right, thanks for watching. I'm Vatolicious. Subscribe if you want to see more Mr. Pandaria stuff. I'm going to be doing all the classes, save for maybe Shaman and Druid, since I've never really played them too much. But if you'd like to see anything out of the Mr. Pandaria beta, maybe something that... If you'd like to see anything from the beta that I'm not necessarily showing or I haven't mentioned, just go ahead and leave in the comments something you want me to go do, something you want me to show you, and I'll absolutely go and do it, no problem at all. And thanks for watching again. Good night.